You do not need every single bottle under the sun to create an amazing home bar. In fact, you don't even need all of these bottles. So today, I'm going to break down exactly what you need when it comes to the bottles of booze itself to set up an epic home bar. Before anyone gets started on how to create the cocktails they want to at home, we first must break down the categories of alcohol that there are available, what they do, the purpose of them, and then I'm going to show you how to choose each bottle from each category to create the cocktails you want to from home. So I've broken it down into 5 different categories of alcohol. Category number 1 is what I call base spirits. You've probably heard of all 6 of these bottles, and these are what make up the core of the alcohol world of what goes in the majority of cocktails as the base spirit. And so in that, you have gin, you have vodka, whiskey, rum, tequila, and brandy. I know what you're thinking. Okay, James, but there's so many different types of tequila. There's mezcal, there's scotch, there's bourbon, there's different whiskeys. Yes, there are many, many different variations of all of this. I mean, I have a strawberry brandy for crying out loud back here. But at its core, the majority of cocktails are gonna rely on one of these 6 base spirits: gin, vodka, whiskey, rum, tequila, brandy. Those are the core right there. And then moving on to the other 4 categories on this side. You have fortified wines, which is vermouths and aperitif style wine. So you have sweet vermouth, you have dry vermouth, you have lillet, which is an aperitif fortified wine. They're all wine-based, lower proof spirits that add depth to a cocktail. It can be a dry vermouth in a martini. It can be the sweet vermouth that goes into a Negroni. These are amazing complements to the base spirits, or if you're looking for something low ABV, this is an amazing option. These enhance cocktails really well. The third category is Amaro, or Amari, which is the multiple form of Amaro. In Italian, Amaro means bitter, and that's exactly what these are. Bitter, sometimes sweet herbal liqueurs that originate from Italy, but now they're made all over the world. Famous ones are Aperol and Campari. Now, sometimes these play jump rope with the aperitif world, but these are technically not wine-based, so these are lined up in the Amaro space. The Amari world is vast and very deep and has a lot of rich history to it. You can go on and on and on about this category, but they are bitter, sometimes sweet herbal liqueurs that are great on their own, and they make an incredible addition to most cocktails because they add a lot of depth and complexity. Now, the fourth and probably the most fun category of all of these is what I call liqueurs and modifiers. These are flavored and usually sweeter spirits that add any specific flavor you can basically imagine. For instance, this is orange curacao, an orange liqueur. This is a banana flavored, and this is Mr. Black. You have your Kahluas, your Mr. Blacks, all your coffee flavored liqueurs. So if you're thinking, I need to add a specific flavor or note to this cocktail, liqueurs and modifiers are a great place to go. The fifth category that never should be neglected is bitters. This is definitely something I consider in the booze family. A lot of people think they don't, but these are essentially highly potent alcohols that are deeply, deeply flavored. The easiest way to think of bitters is the spices for the cocktail world. Think of this almost like a vanilla extract, where it's basically all booze and it has all that vanilla flavor. That's what these are. The famous ones are aromatic, which is a basic cocktail spice I would consider, and orange bitters. But you can break this down into lavender, into cardamom, into celery bitters. This is the best and easiest way to add what I would consider the spices, like you would in cooking, to the cocktail world. So now that you know all the base spirits and all 5 cocktail categories, now's the fun part. Now we get to choose what cocktails you are going to make in your home bar. Now, I am of the belief that I don't think you should have to be able to make every single cocktail under the sun at your home bar. And if I were to restart my home bar right now, this is what I would do. I would choose my top 5 cocktails that I love enjoying and that I love creating for guests, and I would start right there. And to make it even more simple, let's break it down to 3. So my top 5 would be a Negroni, an Old Fashioned, a Margarita, an Aperol Spritz, and a Martini. But like I said, let's keep it super simple. Let's just choose the Negroni, the Margarita, and the Old Fashioned. So in order to do that, I'm going to keep the whiskey, the gin, the tequila. I'm gonna keep sweet vermouth and get rid of the rest of these. I'm gonna keep Campari. I'm going to keep a triple sec. And I am going to keep orange, and I'm going to keep aromatic bitters. That kind of eliminates, let's get rid of all these. We have 3 base spirits, a fortified wine, an Amaro, and a modifier, and bitters. So this is exactly where I would start right now. I would make the Negroni over here. I would make the old fashioned right here. I would make a margarita over here with a little bit of lime juice and agave syrup. That's all I would need. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bottles. And you could even take this out with the margarita and just do a Tommy's margarita, which is like a skinny margarita with just the agave syrup. And that's 6 bottles. So basically we went from dozen plus bottles to 6 bottles, maybe 7 bottles. And what you'll find is if these were my base 3 cocktails, I could start to kind of rearrange things. So for example, with these, instead of just 3 cocktails, if I move the Campari and the vermouth and the whiskey together, that's a Boulevardier cocktail. If I take the vermouth, the whiskey, and the bitters, that's a Manhattan. And you'll start to find there's all these fun combinations you can do even with just a handful of bottles. You'd be able to make a lot more cocktails at your home bar than you think. And something that I highly recommend, if you don't know what kind of cocktails you enjoy or you want to learn more about the flavors of cocktails, oddly, the best thing to do is actually go to your local bar. Go sit at the bar, explain to the bartender that you're trying to figure out what you like and that you want to try some classics, and order a couple classic cocktails and start to sip and nuance on the flavors and consider those things. And you'll start to find what you love. This is exactly how I started. I would go sit at the Good Lion, the bar up the street from me, and I would just talk to the bartenders and talk about the classics and what I'm learning and what I love. And this is oddly cheaper than going out and buying a $30 bottle of Campari, a nice bottle of gin, and some vermouth, all to think, I don't like Negronis. That's a big waste when you could have paid 12 bucks at your local bar, depending on your region, and think, ooh, that was not good. And I will tell you, a lot of the time, if you're friendly with the bartenders, sometimes they'll swap it out or bring a friend that you know likes Negronis, like me, and then hand it to me and order a different cocktail. That's the easiest way to learn what you love. The next 2 things I want you to do, and my call out and commission to you from this video of building your home bar, is number 1, if you don't know what you love, go to your local bar, order a few drinks, and start to get familiar with the classics. And number 2, choose 3 to 5 cocktails that you want to master at home. Go get those bottles and start right there. That way you'll get to master 3 to 5 cocktails from your home bar. So instead of having a bunch of watered down shitty cocktails at home, you will be the expert at 3 to 5 cocktails to start. And then you'll start to realize you can build more cocktails based off those bottles. Now, if you want to take it one step further, eventually I do recommend having the core 6 bottles of rum, brandy, vodka, gin, tequila, and whiskey in your home bar. Because even though I don't drink vodka, a lot of my guests like espresso martinis, so I keep it on hand. But to not get overwhelmed, just choose 3 cocktails, get those bottles, and become an expert at those cocktails. And if you let me know what bottles and cocktails you decide to buy and create at your home bar. And if you have any questions about mastering certain cocktails or techniques, I am here in the comments. Send me a message. I can't wait to hear how you're building your home bar. And if you want more information on home bartending and hosting at home, I have a free guide for you. It's a crash course for you on my 5 pro tips for hosting and home bartending at home. Just click the link below and I'll send that your way. This was episode 2 of Home Bartending 101. I will see you in the next episode.